Ed Dilo from the Historical Preservation Association. We have a group of people here this evening that have come, most of them have come a long way in support of the China House, our local historical landmark. And I'm going to take a very little time because I would like to give an opportunity for as many of them to speak as possible. If it's all right, can we just go one after the other rather than one at a time? Yeah, sorry. Luana from the Social Preservation.
Hi, Luana Hernandez, President of the Historical Preservation of Rancho Cucamonga. Good evening, and thank you for letting us speak. As you are aware, we are very concerned about the China House, and I think all of you are aware that it's been on the newspaper, on everybody's mind. We have been fortunate enough to have representatives from different areas that have Chinese links and want to preserve the house. We know that it's an uphill battle, but we want to be open to see what they have to offer to save the China House. And I just want to let you know that we are behind them to see what we can preserve from that house and what it did, the Chinese community in their opportunity to help this area prosper with the water, digging of the trenches, and the orange trees and the grapevines. And I think we need to remember that they played an important role in our community many years ago. Thank you.
My name is Eugene Moy. I'm Vice President of the Chinese Social Society of Southern California. I'm involved also with a number of other community organizations. We only recently became aware of the red tagging of the China House building just before Christmas, and we had various discussions now, and there are many people who have expressed concern about the threat to the last remaining structure of all of the Southern California Chinatowns that existed from the 19th century to the early part of the 20th century. Some of the people in the larger community might not be aware that there were Chinatowns in Redlands, in San Bernardino, in Pomona, in Colton, in Alta Loma, Upland, and other places, Riverside as well. And all of these Chinatowns are gone. All of these Chinatowns supported workers who contributed to the wealth and the growth and the prosperity of our Inland Empire communities. So now we've learned that this last remaining structure is threatened. And I know that you don't necessarily issue the red tag permits, but you did hear and consented to the red tagging of the building by the building official. We understand the technical problems, but there aren't any, there are problems that can be resolved. If you look at our historic adobes, like the Yorba Slaughter adobe or the Rains House or the Agua Mansa structures, within our whole region, we have many structures that originally did not meet seismic or current building codes. So we hope that time can be given to allow a careful plan that would provide for the restoration and protection of a very valuable historic resource. And we hope that there is some way that can be found to delay or perhaps even rescind the red tagging of the building. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Pamela Langner. I was born and raised in Rancho Cucamonga. My family's...
Microphone.
I'm sorry, my name is Pamela Langner. My family's been here since 1864. This is a book about my grandfather. I also have a book on my grandmother's side called The Adobe Window. When I was a child, George Day was my uncle. and he worked for the water company. I got a lot of stories about how the Chinese brought the water down for the grapes, the oranges, and the lemons. And excuse me, but I'm emotional. I hate to see this house tore down, and I'd like to see any ways that we could possibly restore it. My grandfather built the first school in Rwanda, and it was burnt down. We are losing our national history, and that's all I have to say. Thank you.
My name's Becky Monroe. I just remember that my grandmother had told me story of Chinese helping out with daycare, with food, with the water, with everything. If there wasn't for the Chinese helping out, they benefited, everyone benefited from it. And there's not a whole lot of places around stuff in the city, and when she passed away, that was one place that she said she really wished they would preserve for us. Because even in my son's school, he goes to Central School, a lot of the teachers didn't know any of the history of it, and I let them know, and they're like, wow, thank you, and the kids have really gotten a lot of knowledge out of learning the history of this area with that house being so close. Nobody in my neighborhood, I live right behind it on Evans Street, behind the fire department, nobody knows about it. We'd like some more time so other people can know about it and see if we can save it. Thank you.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Paul Perez. I'm a proud member of the Chinese American Citizens Alliance. I'm also a member of ICC, that's the Intercultural Social and Educational Services Incorporated. We do a lot of community service throughout the San Gabriel Valley. I happen to be the vice president. I'm also the president of the Asian Pacific State Employees Association. And sometimes I ask, people might ask, why do I belong to all these organizations? And the reason I believe, and I do belong to these organizations, because I believe in their goals, their objectives, their mission statements, and the community service they perform. That's why I belong to it. And I'm also a member of the Marine Corps Officers Association. One of the things I learned in the Marine Corps is Semper Fi. Semper Fi meaning that when we believe in something, always faithful, together we can do a lot of things. Why am I here tonight? I'm here to ask for your help. I'm asking for your help individually and collectively. I know you can do a lot of things. It's within your power. And I'm not going to burden you by repeating what's already been said. Only that I've also been a member for Optimus International for almost 50 years. We work with youth. They're known as Friend of Youth. I see some of these kids grow up. What we inculcate in them, and you see it blossom. Many times we try to really get to them to have self-pride. There's self-pride, there's patriotism, there's glory. If there's glory, believe me, crime goes down because they're proud of what they have. And that's why I'm asking, would we consider, do what you think is reasonable and prudent? Let's save the structure. It's not just a building, it's what it stands for, what it represents. It represents those individuals that have contributed so much to our community, our nation. And now we are here to honor them. Someone suggested, well, that's okay, we're going to have a plaque. I don't care how big that plaque is. It's not going to have the same impact that a building that's been restored and maintained. That's where the impact is going to be. And I ask, let's do what is reasonable and prudent and save those individuals. Save that structure that's going to help. And please, I don't know what else to say other than restore it. I know I put in 47 years with the California Department of Transportation. I started working in 1958. We designed and put a lot of freeways. At that time, we had a lot of power. We want to put the freeway right through your house. Just get out of the way. I'm sorry, but it has to be done. I learned later on that when CEQA and NEPA came in, they say, hey, wait a minute. There's certain things that have to be considered. Environmental impact documents. What impact are we causing? And then all of a sudden we had to be retrained. And I read one time that there was an old Chinese general, one of the old dynasties, that he said, those who ignore history are doomed to make the same mistakes again. And let's not make that mistake by knocking this thing down. Because we inculcate, and we save these children and put pride in them. And where there's pride, believe me, crime goes down. And who benefits from that? Everybody. I don't care what ethnicity, what group, what race you are. Everybody benefits when crime goes down. So please, help us, help the community. Thank you very much for your time.
My name is Vincent Chan, and good evening, and thank you for the opportunity for me to address to the commission members. I have a statement in front of me that I'm representing my organization that I would like to present to you tonight. I'm honored to be speaking on behalf of the Los Angeles chapter of the Chinese American Citizens Alliance, the oldest civil rights and social advocacy organization for Chinese Americans, established back in 1895. We are a national organization with many chapters, and the LA Lodge has been here for almost 101 years. Chinese American immigrants' history and experiences in the United States is a grand story of daunting challenges, of overcoming obstacles, hard-fought opportunities, of amazing successes. All people who share this history-driven narrative have crafted for themselves reminders of the struggles and achievements. They are the physical monuments, the public celebrations, the official recognition and attainment of civic, business, and professional leadership in community through education and industry. I'm here to express my hope that we can possibly create another of these testaments to the Chinese American heritage in Southern California by saving the China House here in Rancho Cucamonga. And thanks to the effort of the Rancho Cucamonga Historical Association and the local press, public attention has been increased, especially with the LA-based Asian American communities, such as the Asian Pacific Islander American Historic Preservation Forum, the Chinese Historical Society of Southern California, the Chinese American Museum, Organization of Chinese American, and CACA. With all this effort, we would like to make a change to this site. So tonight, I'm hoping that our presence here tonight is going to convince the member of the committee that we can call a delay in the demolition. We know that time is crucial, and we have until the end of the month until something happens to the site, and that's why we are addressing addressing this to you tonight. Thank you.
Good evening, Commissioners. My name is Albert. I'm a member of the Los Angeles chapter of the Chinese American Citizens Alliance, the nation's oldest civil rights and social advocacy organization for Chinese Americans, established more than a century ago. The Los Angeles Lodge was established in 1912, and we celebrated our centennial last May. A significant part of our nation's national organization's century-long effort involves evaluating public awareness of the issues that impact our community, whether they are social, economical, political, or historical. There are 5 cardinal principles with the pillars of CACA's missions. They are to fully enjoy and defend the rights and privileges of the American citizenship, to support and obey laws and the Constitution of the United States, to cultivate the mind through exchange of knowledge, to effect a higher character among the members, and to observe and practice the fundamentals of brotherly and sisterly love and mutual help. When I speak of our concerns with the fate of the China House in Rancho Cucamonga, I think of each of our cardinal principles in relevant to this concerted effort of raising awareness of the site's significance to the Chinese Americans' experience in California. We are respecting the democratic process by participating in public forums afforded to the general public. We are exercising our responsibilities as citizens of this nation in giving voice to past generations of Chinese Americans who are silent now, but whose hardships and struggles weigh on our purpose and our legacy. We are cultivating the mind by enlightening more people on the existence of China House, which has garnered interest among the historical preservationists and concerned members of our community. I hope that by our presence here today, the Commission will pause to reflect the significance of the actions that are taken in deciding the fate of the historic structure. Arguably, the sole remaining architectural remnant that attests the Chinese American presence in the greater Inland Empire. Thank you for your time.
Hello, my name is William Tam. I'm a member of LA Lodge Chinese American Citizens Line and a brief message. Hello, members of the Planning and Historic Preservation Commission. Thank you for the opportunity to speak here tonight. The previous speakers have given you a broader overview of the community interests and proposed efforts for the preservation of the site known as China House. I would like to share with you something that is perhaps more of a personal observation that could nurture alternative solutions to demolition. On a recent Sunday morning, KCET was broadcasting a succession of episodes of More Things That Aren't Here Anymore. It's hosted by TV journalist Ralph Story. Each episode highlighted a local destination, popular attraction, or architectural landmark that gave Southern California its unique and colorful history. This included nightclubs, restaurants, stores, family attractions, and hangouts that generated affection and fond memories for a generation of people growing up and living in the region. Sadly, many of these places are no longer here because they have fallen victim to economic hardship, normal wear and tear, neglect, or general public disinterest. They only now can be appreciated through a historic lens offered in print, in text, in film, in oral histories, and perhaps a commemoration plaque. Often when a place of cultural or historical significance disappears from our landscape, a fastener that supports the bridge connecting the past and the present is forever gone. It weakens the visual threads that make up a grander ongoing narrative. It denies future generations a vivid testament of their past and what it means to embrace one's heritage. The Rancho Cucamonga City Council seems to have appreciated what such a loss could mean when it voted to designate China House a landmark in 1979. If China House is allowed to be leveled, what remains of any presence of Chinese Americans and their historic contributions to the prosperity of the greater San Bernardino County will be completely wiped from memory. How then will the story of the Inland Empire and Chinese presence in this major region be truly understood if the only structure left extant representing Rancho Cucamonga's Chinatown is destroyed? What can effectively testify to the Chinese efforts in cultivating the area's bountiful citrus and supplied the backbreaking labor which energized the region's viticultural industry? Further, here sits a symbol of that pioneer spirit where ambition, determination, and inventiveness vitalized the American West. The China House is an architectural treasure, showcasing the successful adaptation of materials available and construction that has truly weathered the passage of time. Thankfully, we have concerned individuals who serve on public and community organs, such as this Planning and Historic Preservation Commission, who are, in addition to reviewing land use, are responsible for determining which buildings and or sites are historic, designating local historic landmarks, and approving alterations to local landmarks. Although the Commission has consented to the demolition, I hope that time can be spared to truly look at the potential for preserving the site. Hope we can explore solutions through dialogue and sharing of expertise and resources among the many stakeholders, so that the China House doesn't end up as a sad spotlight in some future episode of things that aren't here anymore. Thank you.
Offer to leave a copy of that because you're going to need it when they go to the commission. They can use that to present it to the council.
My name is Miriam.
You know what you get to? At the end, you just ask them.
Active in the Asian American community. I'm also on the board of Media Action Network for Asian American. I live in a house that's actually half Pasadena and half San Marino. I'll mention more about that later. My family is Pan-Asian. We're Chinese, Japanese, and Korean. And this house, even though it is the China House, has significance for us because basically being a child raised in the 60s, I was forced to assimilate, meaning
I didn't have the luxury of growing up in California, so I had no idea what my other cultures were. And I'm just sort of putting the pieces together, even though I'm third generation Japanese American and first generation Korean. My children are, again, third generation Chinese. It's this wonderful eclectic mix. The Asian Americans as a group are the most diverse out of the ethnic groups. You know, we need to embrace what we have. In an effort at one of our trips to San Luis Obispo, I picked up this book called California's Chinese Heritage, A Legacy of Places by Thomas A. McDonald. It is a book that lists all the Chinatowns, temples, cemeteries in the United States. So no matter where I go, I can look and pick the location. We're planning a trip to Tucson, Arizona. I will look for the Chinatown there. I will look for it no matter which city I go ahead of time. It's the same thing when I go to California. I try to hit every mission I can find. So, you know, this is a wonderful resource. It's a part of your legacy. I did read the 26-page paper that was published for the Water District. And I do tend to disagree that it does have significance. There were artifacts that were exposed when there was the construction of the back portion of the house, and that all those artifacts are still held and curated at the John Raines house. So for them to say that it doesn't have any significance, I think is not truthful. It says that it only has a local and regional significance, but that's not true. Every single one of these Chinatowns, buildings, structures, cemeteries, all have significance. They're a part of our multicultural background being in the United States. As an example, I'm from Pasadena. In the late 70s, early 80s, the main downtown area was basically a skid row. It has had a tremendous revival. It is so vital now. It's a part of the historic Route 66. I actually chose to move there in '87 when it wasn't revived. It was still junk shops, pawn shops, weird little antique shops. And now it's just thriving and wonderful, but they embrace their historical and cultural background. So I would hope that you would extend, and postpone and give us some more time to be able to figure out what to do. I mean, we just need some more time. But I appreciate you listening to me. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening, members of the Commission. My name is Christina Park. I am a graduate student at USC Historic Preservation Program. I would like to urge you to consider some alternatives to demolition that are offered under CEQA, such as relocation of the site, or, the best possible scenario would be, of course, a full restoration and use as an interpretive site, but, if all else fails, at least relocation and just temporary stabilization in the state of demolition is what we would like to request. Thank you.
Commissioners, my subject's different. Sorry, I'm trying to proceed here. Lisa Elton, resident for 20 years in Rancho Cucamonga. I'm here to discuss the Victoria storage items B and C in here. And we live to the west of it. It's right behind us.
If I can interrupt you for a second, the public comment council will probably jump in also. The public comment period is for items that aren't on the agenda. There will be separate public comment opportunity each time we address one of those items on the agenda.
Oh, okay, I'm sorry.
So, no, that's all right. That's all right, but we're not going to ignore you or forget about you. So you can come back up when that item comes before us to be discussed, and you'll have your chance to
Okay, thank you.
Sure. Sorry, Steve. Go home.
Everybody have a chance to speak?
Is there anyone else present that would like to speak?
Just a quick comment. I already spoken, but I'd like to address those individuals that came and made presentations. That if they have written documentation or written material, to leave copies with you to help you use that as support when you do speak to the council, city council. So those of you that hear me, if you have copies, please leave them behind collectively and then give them to someone. Who do we leave them to? Give them to. Right here? Thank you very much.
Hi, good evening. I think your Super Week matter might be the last one, so I'm going to just speak just a little bit about who I am and why I'm here. I'm actually not from CACA or any of the organizations. I wanted to come here to represent myself and also some of the other organizations I'm a part of. I actually am born in 1981, and I dated myself. I was born in East LA, and my family moved to Alhambra, where I grew up, and we had a family of 5, so I had 4 older brothers. My family struggled quite a bit, mainly because they didn't know the English language, and they tried their best to be good model citizens for us so that we can grow up and become model citizens and role models like them too. Shortly after that, growing up in that area, I was able and fortunate to go to school at a lot of prestigious schools in California, but also in the nation. So as a graduate now, this is actually the first complete month that I've gotten my doctorate degree at USC in educational psychology, educational leadership. And coming here, I came back about 2007 from Harvard, and I was able to get that education because I was given all of those opportunities that my parents and the community were able to give us to learn about who we are, where we come from, and what really matters to us. I'm really big on heritage, especially when I'm teaching younger children about it. One of the things that I wanted to bring to light is not so much just the preservation of it, but the symbol of what it means to us and also to myself and my family. One of the things that I always hear from kids is that history is boring. They oftentimes say that, and I'm not sure if you have children and if they say that to you or to their history teachers, but I hear that. That's the one reason why I really want to make sure that places like this are preserved so that we can show our children, your children, my children, that we can have a place to see, to feel, to touch, because I guarantee you when I had gone to San Francisco and San Jose and I only saw that one little plaque of a place that was deliberately burnt down in their Chinatown, I touched it, I felt it, but I couldn't resist knowing that someone could have done something about it. And so to you, I would say, please consider at least some alternatives. I understand that there's a lot of things that you have on your plate, as well as things that are a little bit harder, but I can definitely tell you that as one individual person, as a credentialed teacher, as a former doctorate student, as a community activist, and also as a program director for all the prevention programs in substance abuse, gang prevention, child abuse, mental health prevention, I really would strongly urge that you just reconsider at least giving us some time to think about what we can do and maybe what we can't do, but at the very least we've had the opportunity to do something so that later on I can tell my children too that one day I was standing here to try and save this place. And if not, at least I can show them pictures. And if not, I can say that there are many, many other people who had cared. Thank you.
Is there anyone else present that would like to address either Historic Preservation or the Planning Commission tonight? Seeing none, I will close the public comment section. The next 2 items are consent calendar items, and I assume that